So hello, everyone, and welcome to the regular council meeting of the Village of Lytton on November 25th, 2025. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to please turn off your videos, mute your microphones to allow council to begin the proceedings. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and broadcasted on the Village of Lytton YouTube channel. If you wish to view this meeting or access a video recording of a past meeting, you can visit the Village YouTube channel and watch it there. Thank you, Your Worship. You may call the meeting to order. You are still muted, yeah.
There we go. So I call this regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 25th to order at 7 p.m. I want to begin by recognizing that we're meeting here in the parish hall in the village of Lytton, located in the heart of the unceded traditional ancestral territory of the Etlakat people. In accordance with our council procedure bylaw, we have Carolyn Lamont here this evening in the capacity of Deputy Corporate Officer. So we'll begin with the adoption of the agenda. So can I please have a motion to do so? Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder. Councillor Toss, all those in favor? Carried. Now the adoption of the regular council meeting minutes from November the 12th. We need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. Seconder. I'll second. Thank you, Councillor Michelle. Were there any errors or omissions? Okay, and all those in favor? Carried. All right, so we'll move right on to item number 6, public comment, and I'm going to turn it back over to Corporate Officer Storchenko.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we now invite members of the public to provide comments on items related to tonight's agenda. If you would like to speak, please use the raise hand function on Zoom. You can find that by clicking on React at the bottom of your screen and use raise hand. When it's your turn, I'll read your name and ask you to unmute yourself. You'll have 2 minutes to speak. Speakers are asked to please state and spell your name, provide your address, and indicate the agenda item number that you're speaking to. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. I'll call for a second time. If anyone would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And not seeing anyone online. Your Worship, is there anyone at Parish Hall that wishes to speak?
No, there isn't this evening.
All right, thank you. So that concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. Back to you, Your Worship.
Thank you. So we'll move right on to item number 7, staff reports and presentations. And we have CAO Mom Burkett first regarding the capital projects update.
Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. Good evening, everyone. This is our regular monthly update on the capital projects. So this is for the month of November, pretty much up to about a week ago. So on the community hub, we are moving forward with working with the architects on the schematic design. Some initial input has been given back to them, and they're working through that process. We have wrapped up the engagement sessions that were occurring in the communities around Lytton and in Lytton itself, and so that feedback will be coming to council at a regular council meeting in the future, probably at the next one. And then we are continuing to work through the pool proposal, the proposals that have been received. We've only received a couple, and we're just working on kind of the best way to proceed. And again, we'll be bringing that forward to council in the near future. Nothing really new on the fire hall. On the village office, we are very close to having those drawings completed. We're just waiting for some electrical details that would then allow us to start the building permit process and bring those to council with sort of the final estimated cost. The Public Works building is substantially complete. The final walkthrough was completed last week. And so now at this point, the operations team is working on a plan to move into the building and to move all of the equipment and supplies over from the office down at the mill site. The water and sewer upgrades are continuing. We have the contractor on site at the East of Main water repair site doing the team did a final walkthrough last week and have a couple of deficiencies for them to deal with, but that should be finished up very soon. We did post the request for qualifications for a civil contractor. We split it into two. We did a request for qualifications for contractors for jobs under 200,000, and then one for jobs over 200,000. That request for qualifications closed on Thursday of last week, and we got a number of responses. So we're in the process of going through those, and we will again be bringing a recommendation forward to council for that. And then the investigation work up at the 265 reservoir continues, and we are getting some good information there, but there's still a bit more work to be done before the team can assess what's happening with the water lines in that area. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions regarding this, Councillor McCann?
I just have one, Diane, for the community hub and the process. I'm trying to remember the process. So we've had an information session. People were allowed to put in information. Will there be another opportunity for public to comment on things as it moves forward? Like if somebody has a burning issue that they weren't able to address before now, will there be an opportunity later for that kind of input yet?
There will be other opportunities for input. The input for the schematic design is considered gathered at this point, and so
Yeah.
the architects are preparing the design based on the input that's been received. So once that drawing is completed, that will come to council for approval, and we'll also have a public, probably an open house, in order to share that information. But then there will be later stages of the project where more and more details get defined, where we will have another engagement opportunity.
Okay, that's what I thought. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right, Councillor Tots.
Thank you. I'm actually confused now because I thought that we were not at, like, I thought the architects hadn't got our notes. So you're telling me now they are working on a schematic to come back again? From our
They've
workshop?
been working on the schematic for about 3 weeks now, and so they're continuing to incorporate the input that the village gives to them.
So the draft that we saw, that is like a fluid
They'll be
document?
they'll be getting more input on that draft. Yes.
Okay. Further to Councillor McCann's comments about, like, are we finished with the input? I'm concerned that maybe the museum, like the farmers market, people have mentioned or asked me questions about the kitchen. I don't have the answers. And I think there's some input from community groups that we could still probably get, especially like the museum didn't know about, they asked me if there was space going to be available there, one of the directors the other day. So I'm hoping that we can maybe gather those groups and get some feedback specifically from the user groups, because they're the ones that are going to be using it. The museum has very specific requirements for humidity and storage of archives and whatnot. And I hope that we can still have that discussion around with them in mind, with those vested parties. Can we involve them as we go through these schematics as well?
I think the schematics will sort of determine the layout of the facility. When it gets down to sort of the capacity and the specifics of like the mechanical system that would control the humidity or things like that, that's further down the road for sure. So we're not to that point yet. We do have some information though that we have received from the museum, so that's been incorporated. We received it by email several months ago, I think.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments? I have one question, and it's regarding the East of Main water repairs. I actually drove up there on the weekend and took a look, and it looks like they're finishing up. I'm just not concerned, but wondering about the holiday train, and it's arriving in 1 month. We use that street for parking and for walking up to the train. I just wonder, do you think they'll be pretty much out of there by then?
Well, that's a very good target date for them. So that's perfect. My understanding is they're very, very close to the end. So that shouldn't be a concern, but I will make sure that gets communicated to the contractor that they're to have
That's-
everything buttoned up and finished a week before that.
Yeah, that's the 19th of December. So
Yep.
just before that. Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yeah, no, good. Thanks for bringing that up.
Are there any other comments? No. So we need a motion to accept this report for information. Councillor Lightfoot, seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. All those in favor?
Yes.
And carried. All right, so next on the agenda is the Rebuilding Grant Programs extension. And Diane, did you want to speak to that as well?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor O'Connor. This is another request to extend the grant programs that the village has had in place to assist property owners with the rebuilding. So we have 3 programs that have been in place for a while now, and they've been extended a number of times. We have the building permit reduction program, which is basically a 50% reduction in the building permit fees. We have the archaeology grant program, which is reimbursement of archaeology costs up to $20,000. And we have a tree reimbursement program, which is a reimbursement of $100 for the purchase of a tree to be replanted on a property that was impacted by the fire. So these programs were all slated to expire at the end of December 2025. I'm recommending that we extend them to the end of December 2026. That's our sort of targeted end of recovery period. I do know that our Director of Development, Carolyn Lamont, has been talking to a number of property owners who are working towards developments and rebuilding properties in the village, and these programs would be pretty significant to them. So I think that I think it's probably a good idea to extend them to the end of the recovery period.
Great, thank you. So we do have a motion here. It's including all 3 grants in one large motion. Does someone like to put that forward? Councillor Toss, second. Councillor Lightfoot. Are there any questions or comments regarding this? Councillor McCann.
Thank you for including in your report how much has been spent on each of these programs so far. I appreciated that. Thank you.
Welcome.
That was it. That's all I'm going to say.
All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Very perfect. All right, CFO report, the monthly reporting, of course, which is we've seen similar before to regarding the province of BC contribution agreement.
Correct, Mayor O'Connor. I don't really have anything to add. We address this item every month.
Right.
you.
Yeah. So there is a 2-part motion to put forward. Councillor Lightfoot and second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Michelle. Are there any comments or questions regarding this? Councillor Lightfoot, or sorry, Councillor Thomas. Yeah.
Just my ongoing comments about my concerns over the total recovery support staffing funding when there's not a lot of administration in the actual village. I really want to see that transition plan come forward. I think we're able to share with the community now that we're working towards that. So the sooner we can get some of those roles covered by continuous staff, the better. So it just makes me uncomfortable, that amount being spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Lightfoot.
I'd just like to say, I'm so glad that we have that extra money to help us as we regroup and get back on our feet.
Mhm.
So this work won't be going on forever, but the fact that we have the resources to enlist practice, skilled, capable people at this point in our redevelopment, I think is a blessing.
Okay. All those in favor? No, we haven't put the motion forward. Yes, we did. All those in favor?
Aye.
And carried. So those will be submitted. All right. Corporate officer, Lisa is on the line here, and she has a report regarding acting mayor and scheduling. Did you want to say anything, Lisa, or should we just move forward?
It's pretty straightforward. It's just something that we have to do.
It is pretty straightforward. It seems like we do this every year. This is our
Yes.
third time, if I remember, our inaugural meeting. We did this, was on the agenda, wasn't it? So we have a motion to adopt the schedule and the acting mayor designation. Thank you, Councillor
No, second.
Snell, seconder Councillor McCann. Are there any comments regarding that? Okay, all those in favor? Carried. And we move on to item number 7.4 and the official community plan update. And we have Carolyn here today, and I'm sure you're going to speak on it, are you?
Yes, I am.
Good.
I am. I think we
We
have
appreciate
a
that.
short slideshow
Oh, good.
point. Yes.
Yeah.
There we go. Good evening, Mayor and Council and community members present. As mentioned, I'm going to present the OCP update report for consideration, and the recommendation for you is to receive this report. If you recall, in July 22nd of this year, Council approved the work program. Thank you, Lisa, as displayed up there. There are two phases that we've now been working through, given the timing. The pre-meeting outreach, and which will continue, and then the project launch with technical investigations all underway right now. So prep phase 1 and phase 2 has been commenced. I just wanted to share a little bit about how how things have gone. Next slide, please. Please. Okay, thank you. So the prep and the phase, and what's really important when you go to a progress report is to actually look at what your goals were moving forward. And as far as reaching out to and having input on the actual work program from INCLA, the goals are listed below. I will say that we have not fulfilled the goals that we set in there. There's been no formal input from chiefs and council and or staff. We did quite an email campaign and some other outreach. I will say tomorrow I'm going to look at Kanakabar's climate work, which I'm very excited to see, and to see how that will influence how we proceed. It's always great to see good work. But the village will continue to consult on this process and any opportunity we can moving forward. The next slide is the phase 1 goals, and I'm using the term Greater Lytton community, which is pretty much everybody that's influenced by the village and around. And again, the goals, I think, was we did have a very well advertised and attended project launch. We've actually since had quite a few online answers too, which were great to add to the stack that we have and all the information. The next phase will be to include schools and community interests a bit more. So the information that we received at the launch has really helped us show where we maybe need to dig a bit deeper and get a better idea of what people are thinking. And there was a great quote in one of the questionnaires, and I'm going to steal it. They're anonymous, so yeah, I can't really give credit to someone, but it says, by integrating traditional knowledge with innovation, Lytton and the surrounding communities and governments can build an economy that is both forward-looking and deeply grounded in the cultural identity of these special places and people. And sometimes you find someone can write really well. So that's where we are now. I want to talk a little bit about attachment 3, which does go through all the results from the meeting. Now, I think all of you recall that this was not a quantitative exercise. If you can remember, if you wanted to pick something like community, you could have entered it 3 times. So it's definitely not a polling situation, even though we call it a polling, but it's really informing. And so right now, we're meeting later this week to really focus on this and to take it to the next level, which is a survey or questionnaire or workbook piece. But again, want it to be interactive. And what it will do is then test the vision and the objections and start scratching the surface on policy areas. So when we talk about, in the report, I talk a little bit about more or reallocating budget to maybe things like history or the arts, or because we did see a lot of interest in those areas. The other one I really did learn a lot, not that I shouldn't know it, is gathering. People sure like to gather and to have places to gather. So those are sort of some takeaways. And then of course, partnerships. So we certainly want to keep engagement going and welcome anybody that wants to sit down and meet with me. I'll jump up and drive here and come here whenever people want to chat. And I'm sure all of you will too. So, the input received, as I meant, will be analyzed. The survey will be issued late in 2025 or early 2026. We're just truly getting our head around it. It's obviously getting really close to the holiday season now. So that's not ideal. Although sometimes people after Christmas have a lot of free time. So that's always a balance. But I suspect it'll probably be early in January. And as I mentioned, we're looking at all this other technical expertise, and then the budget remains on course and still working within it. We may pursue some other grant funding, maybe focused on things like the arts, to dig a bit deeper, as well as economic development. So yeah. That's all.
Okay, so
but welcome any questions.
thank you, Council. Does anyone have any comments or questions? Councillor Toss.
Thank you for that work. I really enjoyed the session here. When we gave input, the community gave input into that. I appreciate that the frank discussion about targets aren't always met, and hearing that we're not quite there yet, as well as the good news. Thank you for being frank.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions regarding this? No, I appreciated reading through as well. It was really interesting to see some of the responses that were received. Yeah, and look forward to this carrying on and to the, as you said, the next step.
Yeah.
Digging deeper and bringing more back to us.
Yeah.
In reports.
And likewise, anyone that's watching this or will watch this meeting, again, input and, it's always great.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Okay, so we would like to receive this report for information. Councillor Lightfoot and a seconder.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor McCann. And if there's no further comments, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you, Carolyn. All right, that brings us to item number 8, which is verbal reports. And I'll begin, and I have very little to report tonight. As I mentioned, I think it was at the last meeting, like I have lots of little meetings and Zoom meetings and such, usually during the week, as I did these last 2 weeks. But here are some of the highlights of my week, which is very little. Friday, November 14th, I attended a SILGA fall educational seminar on financial governance. Financial governance. It was an excellent session. And really, I think, I'm not by any means an expert now, but I certainly have a much better understanding. On November the 15th, the following evening, I attended the Excellence in Gold Country, Cache Creek. It was wonderful to see so many Lytton area businesses and organizations recognized at that event. So it was pretty exciting because a number of them names were called. And on November 20th, I attended the TNRD regular board meeting. And of course, many things get discussed, but one topic was regarding the fire trucks, equipment for small communities. And you know how we went through this here, where 25 years later, a fire truck becomes obsolete and needs replacing. So they are going to be asking, TNRD is going to be sending a letter to all municipalities asking for a letter to be sent to take a look at that, because that is something that is set apparently not by government legislation, by, I want to say insurance.
Yeah.
So, take a look at it, and, because has such an impact on small communities like ours. So we'll be seeing that coming forward. And that's it for my report. I will move on then to Councillor, that's my paper, McCann. Thank you.
Oh, really?
Is that Councillor McCann?
Just wrapping it up here too.
There it is. Yes, it is. Sorry, Councillor Toss.
Usually it's tall.
Apologize.
What? Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I don't have a lot to report either. I want to wish our CIO happy birthday, Diane Lumbercat. And I attended a workshop with the mayor and council here on the hub plans, and I look forward to massaging that a lot. Huge project. We have a Chamber of Commerce meeting, Lytton Chamber of Commerce, on Thursday at 4:30, the 27th. And I believe there is a vacancy for a director coming up. So anybody in the community that's interested in getting involved, the Lytton Chamber of Commerce, reach out to myself or Bernie Vandrich would be great. And a reminder from the Chamber to save the date for the gala on the 30th of January. I think it's been decided that we'll be having that event. It'll be in the village, whether here or at the Legion, we're not sure yet, but probably here. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCann now.
Yay. Thank you, Mayor O'Connor. I follow the mayor around sometimes, and last week it was one of those times because I went with her to the finance session in Kamloops, hosted by Silga, and I thought I would fall asleep, and I certainly did not. They kept me engaged and informed, and I was able to make connections from the things that we have done in council to what they were talking about, and it was kind of deepening the understanding. So it was very well done. I was really glad I went, and I thought about you going online.
I forgot to mention that.
They mentioned you, by the way.
Here.
Yes. Oh, Councillor Toss was online. Oh, well, good for her. Yay. So, but I could not imagine myself staying attached to an online thing all day long. I went, oh my, that'd be tough for me. So I'm glad I went in person. I also went to the Excellence in Gold Country Awards with the mayor, and actually accepted an award on behalf of the Lytton River Festival while I was there, which was very nice, for the best musical event, not for the best festival. Just got to find the right category to win the prize, And on the 17th, I attended coffee with the mayor. On the 19th, we had a Fire Smart collaborative meeting. On the 20th, which was Thursday, I participated as the MC at the Fire Smart Community Information Session at the Battlefield Hall. And that was the things that I went to. I just wanted to say a couple of things to follow up from those events. I was very encouraged by the attendance at the Fire Smart session last week. The people of Lytton and area clearly support these initiatives. I heard the insurance representatives who spoke say that community leaders should invite representative brokers to our community to see for themselves the fire resilience of our community. One person stood up at the session and shared his experience as a new homeowner in Lytton trying to get insurance, and that he was having challenges. And when that question went to the insurance brokers that were attending that meeting, they made that recommendation that community leaders have these people come here so they know what it is they're insuring and saying, no, you're not eligible for. Because they thought that probably what's been happening is these people have pictures in their mind of the fire and what they've seen in the media, and that's what they think is here. So there needs to be, I think, an effort on our part to follow up with that. And I'll reach out to CEO Momberket and see if somehow our staff could maybe do something about that. On another note, I recently had the opportunity to travel to Prince Rupert. I was surprised to find that that community is on boil alert. And according to the folks I spoke with, this is a common occurrence. Bigger place than here, kinda bigger, yeah. It made me remember what it was like when that was the case for Lytton, and how much I appreciate the work done since the fire to make boil alerts an uncommon occurrence for us. So thank you to our staff and even to council for making that something that's a past event, not a common event for us. Thanks, that's my report.
Great, thank you, Councillor Michelle. You, Councillor Lightfoot.
Not a lot to report. I attended coffee last week, and as Councillor McCann and I are both on Fire Smart, I attended the meeting on the 19th and on the 20th. And I think something that I heard on the 20th was, as time progresses, that insurance companies will perhaps consider Fire Smart communities as a less risky commodity to insure. And so it works in our favor if we continue this work.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 9, which is other business. And we have item Village Transition Plan for 2026 written here without any reports or anything, because this is something that's come from council, not from staff.
Okay.
We have released this from a closed meeting where we were discussing that we need to get started with this to think about the year ahead and moving forward. This is our last year as a council coming up, right? We have one more year in our term. And we also know that there are some kind of things not necessarily ending, but for example, recovery funding. We know there's going to be no new funding after the end of 2026. So it's something that we need to start thinking about and start planning for. And so I did a lot of thinking on this. I'm sure everybody has. And I started thinking about how do we determine what our needs are going to be coming up. What are the basic needs that we require as a village? We know legislatively we need a corporate officer and we need a financial officer. We also need a water operator. Those are kind of the 3 key positions. And so, I also know there's been a lot of chatter in the community about how can Lytton be viable and afford to move ahead. I personally believe that we, over the last couple of years, our recovery staff and our village staff have been kind of thinking about it, working on it and what that might look like. But it's time now, I think, to start really seriously looking at it. And so I've created a bit of a motion I'd like to put forward for discussion, if that's okay. And let's see if I could, see if I have it here. This isn't, so you can help me with it, but, and it's to have our CAO, CFO provide us with a report by the end of January for some staffing options based on our budget projections and the needs of the village. That's where I'm at. So I'm going to put that forward and see if I can have a seconder for that. Thank you, Councillor Lightfoot. So discussion regarding that. Councillor Lightfoot.
I think there needs to be a bit more clarity on the goal is to establish a realistic budget for the regular operations of the village of Lytton. Sort of segmenting that from what we've been doing, which is the recovery and the rebuilding. But we need to understand what the baseline is to have this village function if everything was in place. So I'm not, it's difficult for me to respond because haven't really studied it, but to me, that was what was lacking in the motion. Was our goal is to establish an understanding of what the base organizational costs would be to run the village in its regular functions.
Right.
So we'd look at, you know, the pool, the office, the
Look at
Public works.
everything.
water, sewer, road maintenance, staffing.
And I guess that's what I meant by look at options based on budget projections, because we know we're not going to approve the budget or have it completed in months, but the process is starting. But based on the needs of the village, right, which are all of those things, what is it we need? Councillor Toss.
I am extremely disappointed with that motion. I brought, I think that part of the motion to move away from recovery and into a sustainable village is also, and this is nothing personal against our CIO, but to move away from having staff outside of the village and outside of the province even. And my understanding with our discussion with Shannon's story is that she would be doing that. And I also understand that recruiting a permanent CIO was something that we would start to work on because it is such a long process to recruit someone like that.
But I think first we need projections. We need to know what our revenues are.
But I think my point is, though, is my problem with the motion is that we're having our CIO do it when it's sort of the impetus of this, and what Shannon made clear to us was that it's not the CIO that picks the next CIO.
Oh, absolutely.
And I understand you're talking about projection. So this is just the finances. Is that what we're talking about? Because I don't think that our CIO has the time. And that was the idea of putting up the RFP for someone else to do the transition plan and involve not only our CIO, but our communications and everything else. So sure, we need the projections, but I think we're missing out on the whole sort of the main point was to try and change to lessen our dependency on these recovery staff and move it in-house like our communications. You know, picking on communications is low-hanging fruit because it's, you know, a position that we're spending a lot of money on that could easily be done by somebody in the village. And we have 3 people that should be qualified enough to run a website in our village office. And where I realize I'm getting a bit away from your motion, Mayor O'Connor, but I will not be voting in favor of this because it's missing the total spirit of what I was trying to achieve with the transition plan.
Councillor Lightfoot.
I understand that in the long run, the desire is to have local staff manage the community. But I also believe that we need to understand what the local community needs to run the community on a regular day-to-day basis. And once we know the tasks, the personnel, and the resources required to run that, then we can make that transition. But to just say we're going to find one person to come in and tell us how to do it, I don't see that as easily achieved, or even, I don't even see it as achievable for an outside person to come in and look at this community as a generic.
Our CIO is an outside person.
As a generic, yes, but she's had 2 years experience in the community. She's worked with the staff that is working in the community. She has a better understanding of this community than anyone we could find outside. And she's also the financial officer. So to me, it all comes down to finances.
Mm-hmm.
To be sustainable, you have to have the financial understanding of what we can afford. There may be a lot of dreams we want that we just can't afford. So it has to be grounded in that reasonable expectations.
So we're entering a budget process. Yeah, We're entering a budget process as it is. Our CFO is leading us through that. And personally, I think that she has a handle on the money, the funding, the we haven't set the tax rates yet, like all of those things that, will then go into sort of defining what is it that we're looking for and what is it we need to run our village. Sorry, Councillor McCann.
Mm-hmm. The way it sounds to me, Mayor O'Connor, what you're describing is the first stage of a staged process. And the first stage that you just described in your tentative motion there is to start by determining what funding is available, what work needs to be done. And then the next stage from there would be similar to what Councillor Lightfoot is saying, is to take that information and say, okay, what does that look like then? And then the next stage after that is to say, what can we, what is this going to affect our tax rates, for example? Is this going to affect anything else in the budget? So to try and align it with the budget process parallel would be really nice, because then we're not layering another something on top of a different something. So if the budget process and what you're asking for and what we're asking for, they kind of run parallel. And I think that would make the whole process a little bit more streamlined. And to me, it would make it, I would have a better chance of understanding what exactly we're all talking about here. So I can understand the numbers. I can see what's going on here. I can see the transition. To me, I see that it's not going to be hard and fast. It's not going to be a slice red and white or black and white. It's going to be lots of shades of gray are going to come up as we go through this. And so it will take us some time to say, well, what is it, what does have to be cut off on a certain day, and what can move through, and what finances are available for this or that or the other thing. So there's a lot of things going on here that need to be included in the transition process. And I think we're all very much aware that it needs to start now, as in the best way that we can do.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I'm not against the financial projections whatsoever. What I'm really gunning for from this council is oversight and another set of eyes on our overall financial picture. Diane's very well versed with our finances. I'm looking for a second opinion and oversight on our transition plan, and basically another set of eyes. And I understand, like Councillor Lightfoot, you mentioned, quote unquote, the financial understanding of what we can afford is really important. I totally agree. But I want another opinion, because we've been told that we can afford the hub, and we can afford the fire hall, and we can afford the village office and the public works building, and we can maintain these buildings. I would like another professional with financial experience to look at our books and offer some suggestions how we can get to a sustainable point. Numbers can be manipulated a little bit. I just would like to see somebody else have eyes on our books and our systems, because currently we are not getting a breadth of information from a breadth of people.
Councillor Lightfoot.
Just in response to Councillor Watson's comments about the hub and the fire hall, those are all recovery projects. Those are not projects that a regular municipality would take on unless there was outside funds coming in. I'm more invested in what is it going to cost to just run the village on a regular basis. Snow removal, water and sewer, fire protection, staff. And I think that is where we'll be in a couple of years. And who knows, maybe it'll be 3-4 years, however long this extra money dribbles out. But that's the goal. That's what we have to understand, is how much it's going to cost us in a regular year with no trauma or rebuilding happening. And to me, that is what the transition is to getting to that goal. And what the staff is in between that, that's all fluid. Mm-hmm. The staff will in large part be what's available. We may have designs on what we want to bring in, but the reality is almost in every sector of the workforce in the country, there's a shortage of people. So that's always a possibility. We're still looking for a full-time water person. We've been looking for 3 years. It's not always easy to find what you want, but at least you need to know what you can afford to pay for what you want. And to me, that's why the finances are really important. That's the sustainability.
Councillor Toss.
I totally agree with everything you said, but you have to keep in mind when we're talking about the viability in the 5 years from now, we will have 4 huge buildings that will need to be accounted for. So when we look forward with those projections, I believe that the reports that we've been getting are very positive, right? We've been hearing good numbers in that. I would like the worst case scenario. I would like to hear from somebody with an objective point of view, with a financial background that can say, yeah, you guys are on the right track. You're going to be okay. And this is my suggestion for how to work your communications and your emergency and your CAO and your CFO. And maybe we don't even have to take the advice, but it would be some set of objectivity. So I'm not going to support this motion.
I guess, like, that's why we have a CAO, a CFO. That's why we've hired one. We have a contract with one. That's their role.
We're talking about transitioning that person out of that role over the next couple of years, are we not?
Well, I don't know for sure, but
I think
we know she has a contract. We have a contract with our CFO till the end of 2026. And so I don't support bringing somebody else in to oversee that work.
We discussed starting to look at recruiting someone. Is that not true?
Recruiting staff.
Like to try and recruit a good CAO, and Diane does leave that position.
Absolutely. And that will be our role when it comes time. That's the one person we hire, right? But I don't think we're there yet until we understand the financials.
May I ask you a question, Mayor O'Connor? If something were to happen to our CAO, for some reason she could not return to work tomorrow, who would be taking her place?
We'd probably go to the province for some support with that, like we would in any but in any situation, we have no guarantees, right?
I think
it doesn't matter.
Better plan than that, Mayor O'Connor.
I'm not planning for something to happen to our CAO.
We weren't planning for a fire or
Councillor Lightfoot.
I think that could be said for any person in any position within our organization. They may fall off the road tonight on the way home. There may be a family emergency that pulls them out of the workforce. Those inevitabilities will happen from time to time in any organization. What you have to do is have a strategy to replace it, but to engage to make it happen sooner because it might happen, I think is counterproductive. You said you wanted someone to come in here and look at the worst case scenario. I would suggest that if we had any critique of our organization, we'd look for our soft spots and try to develop a strategy to overcome the vulnerabilities that we feel we have. Life is full of challenges. There's nothing that's guaranteed that will, one of us may not be here next week. We just don't know. That's the reality of life. And the reason why you have to have specific details on finances and how to compensate when voids are formed for, whether it's the houses are burnt or the public works people all get sick or, there's always challenges. That's part of our job, is to manage them as they come along.
I'm wondering if Councillor McCann or Councillor Michelle have any comments.
Could you say your motion again, please?
And again, this is very rough, but to have our CIO, CFO provide us with a report, and I'm saying by the end of January, because Christmas is coming up, for staffing options based on our budget projections and needs of the village.
Okay.
So staffing, because that's one thing we've talked about, we released a post, is staffing versus village plan. But, so what does it look like? We know we have to have a CIO position. We know a CFO and a financial officer position. But what does that look like? Are they two full-time positions? Are they shared? Are they,
Yeah.
And And so what are some options that we could be looking at so that we can understand what it is we're recruiting for?
What were you going to add in there, Jessica? Something?
Base it on our
I think
base here.
we need to understand our core responsibilities and the personnel and resources we need to realize it.
Yeah.
So, so it's the transition from a recovery mode to the regular day-to-day operations is what we're trying to ascertain.
So it's the beginning of a transition plan. It's the information needed to lead into a transition plan to then follow it through. So that by the end of 2026 term, that something is in place that we're all comfortable with. And that's the objective here, right?
Yes, and to have, so that we understand those finances.
Yeah.
Melissa, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd like to see projected financials first, forecasted. If there's a management letter with our audit, I'd like to see that before bringing in someone else. I mean, we pay how much to have these auditors come in. They work for us, but they have to follow principles. So they're not posting the books.
No.
So I want to see management letters, see what that says, because they're going to have suggestions there if we need anything. And I want to see what the projected forecasted budget is. The majority of the building that's going to happen has happened. So from there, we can take that tax base and know what we have to deal with going forward.
Councillor Toss.
Hopefully these will be my last comment. I could not disagree with you more about having a backup plan and that eventualities do happen. Unfortunately, fortunately, I'm one of 5 people. So if I drop off the face here, we have a backup, we have quorum. With the President of the United States, they give a vice president, right? If it's the royal family, they don't fly together. I do think it's our job to prepare for eventualities. And I'd like to see some sort of sharing of information so that if something did happen to our head purveyor of information, that we would be prepared for if something did happen to our CAO. We should have a plan that doesn't rely on asking the province. And I think worst case scenario. When we talk about the financial projections, yes, as long as they include those 4 buildings and those 50 washrooms that we seem to think are so important to build, and the 50 offices and the 7 flex spaces or whatever have you, I am terrified that they're not going to be financially viable in 6 years. So that's why I want to hear worst case scenario. I do not want to be on the council that bankrupted this town.
So I would actually like to amend my motion. And it's to have our CAO, and it's based on when I listened to Melissa speak. So to have our CAO, CFO provide us with a report by the end of January on just on budget projections and needs of the village, based on, the basic needs of the village. So what is it we need? What is it we have to have? And what are those projections going to be?
Does that include the 4 buildings that will be there?
It's going to hopefully include everything. Maybe they'll be lumped together. I don't know.
That's the key to this, though, right? Will we be able to use our tax base and manage what we're building?
And what staff to hire and all of those other things, right?
Yeah.
Run the village.
It's not going to be.
It's going to be running the village. It's not just going to be on the buildings, but yes.
Sorry, Mayor Connor, can you repeat your motion?
To have our I guess it's our CFO, not I slashed because it's a joint position, but to have our CFO provide us with a report by the end of January on our budget projections based on needs of the village.
In 5 years or next year?
What we'd be looking at. We have to do a 5-year plan.
But our 5-year plan has not included our buildings.
But we would look at needs of the village probably for this coming year.
That was one of my criticisms of the 5-year plan.
Councillor Lightfoot.
If I just may make comment to Councillor Joss, we had those buildings before. We had a museum, we had a fire hall, we had a public works, we had a village office.
Like,
It's not to the
No.
same standard. I'm not
Speak,
disagreeing
please.
with that. But they had expenses that we accepted and worked with. And so I'm trying to calm your fears a bit.
So I've amended the motion.
Yeah.
Would anyone like to second that? So it's not based on the staffing options, but rather, sorry, it's not regarding the staffing options necessarily at this point. It's budget projections so that we can then look at what staffing options might be.
Okay. What were you asking for?
That, well, and to maybe include the management letter from the.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when do you get that?
That would have been with our audit that we received.
From last year already?
Yeah.
Those were the
So it's
recommendations.
just, yeah,
that
the
the auditor-
recommendations.
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to look at that and including that, any references in there. I agree with you on that one.
one more time for the cheap seats, would you mind doing that?
Okay, so so we have it seconded, to have our CFO provide us with the report by the end of January on our budget, projections based on the needs of the village and include the auditor management
The management letter.
letter.
Yeah.
I'm just going to make a comment before I vote.
Sure.
And I'm going to be voting against this. And it's not because I don't want to see that. It's because it's missing the spirit of what I feel that I was trying to achieve with the transition plan.
Councillor Lightfoot.
I just need some clarity and perhaps staff or whatever. We normally do receive a budget every year with projected costs. So I don't understand how this motion is any different.
Because next year with our budget, we're still gonna include recovery dollars. So
Right, so
this
we-
is our base needs.
But that, it doesn't say that anywhere in the motion.
Yeah, it does. She said the village's basic needs. That's not including
Or maybe
recovery
it could be effective
Or
instead of basic.
essential.
Future,
like there's required, right? There's required through legislation. There's some things we have to have in there.
well, there's a
as well,
core,
but
core expense that.
to have our CFO provide with a report based on budget projection on core needs of the village,
Future core needs.
future
To me,
core
it sounds like it could
needs,
be,
yeah,
we're just asking for the projection for this
future
coming
core
year.
needs of the village.
And revenues.
Yeah, thank you. I thought that was included in the budget.
Well, in
It should
budget
be
it is,
explicit, yeah. The revenue is the important part because we operate on less than a small convenience store.
So some of this, though, I mean, I agree, but some of it, of course, we haven't set our tax rate yet. That's going to be information for that. So this is bringing this to us earlier than we typically would be getting it. That's one of the differences.
Yeah.
Because I'd rather see this before starting a transition plan, like in depth. I want to know what the money looks like.
Yeah, there's no point in doing it until you do know that.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think that's exactly where we get the outside expertise in, but
Oh, yeah.
oversight.
Any other? So this is the amended motion.
Yeah.
So did you kind of get that, Lisa?
So I have that council direct the CAO or CFO provide a report by the end of January. Provide council with a report by the end of January on budget projections based on the core needs of the village and include the auditor's management letter.
Future core needs.
Future core needs. Okay.
Yeah.
And I do have that. Who actually seconded? I did have Jesua on the Councillor Lightfoot on the.
Jen, did you second
I
that?
seconded it.
Okay. Jen.
Okay.
All right. So we'll vote on the amended. So all those in favor? And opposed? And
Opposed
carried.
was Councillor
Yes.
Thomas.
Yeah, Councillor Toss. So carried. So now do we move back to the original or no?
Yes.
We don't, yes, we do. Okay, so back to the original motion that I had put forward, which I had said asking us for staffing options. That's what I'd taken out. So all those in favor? Opposed? Defeated. Okay. All right, Councilor Lightfoot.
Yeah.
If I could ask advice from staff, I would appreciate it. Would it have been prudent for us just to have made that second motion a friendly amendment?
Oh,
Okay. So
But
in the
that's
future-
fine.
Okay,
yeah.
thank
So
you.
that's why I was asking Councilor.
Well,
Lightfoot.
it is actually changing the
You didn't
request.
change the intent. So
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for, spirit.
Okay, all right. And so that brings us now to the end of our open meeting. We're going to be going into closed meeting to discuss items under 91E, 91M, and 91B. So I'll turn it back over to Corporate Officer Storoshenko.
I do
So
need
we
a
need a
motion.
motion.
Yes.
Sorry, we need a motion to do
I
that.
was so moved.
Thank you, Councillor McCann, seconder. Councillor Toss, and those in favor. Carried. Now we're going to move into closed meeting. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor Connor. So that concludes the public portion of the regular council meeting for November 25th. We ask that the members of the public and staff exit the meeting as council proceeds to close. Thank you for joining us this evening. And council, I now invite you to take a short recess while we prepare the meeting to close.
Thank you. All right, so